As more and more of us receive the vaccine, I sense an air of hope returning to people. There is more and more talk about a return. We're not really sure what we're returning to. I think deep down we realize that we can't return to life as it was 12 months ago. But there is a new day, new hope, a time of expectation. As talk has revolved around the vaccines, it's reminded me of my days as a pre-pharmacy student in college. I was mystified by how vaccines work. They actually utilize part of the virus that they're trying to control. While it was a mystery then, I have realized in more recent times that the whole thing was quite biblical. When Moses and the people are wandering in the wilderness on their way to the promised land, they will be set upon by serpents that, when bitten, people are dying. When Moses asks God for help, God says, take a serpent, fashion it out of bronze, and put it on a pole. When people are bitten, have them look at the pole and the serpent, and they will be healed. Moses does, the people do, and they are. John uses that image of the serpent on the pole to talk about Jesus on the cross. Just as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so when Jesus is lifted up on the cross, he will draw all humanity to himself. In the cross, God takes our humanity and puts it before us that it may be used for our healing. Now, we normally talk about the cross of Christ in terms of sin and brokenness, that we are healed from our sins by Christ's death. But that's only a part of our humanity. In the cross, God takes all of our humanity and draws it to himself. Our worries, our fears, our anxieties, our sickness, our suffering, our hopes, our dreams, our frustrations, our feelings of helplessness and hopelessness, our joys. All of it is drawn to that cross, that we might be made whole once again. During this pandemic, the cross has been very important for me on this journey. It has been a standard. It has been something to fasten my eyes upon when all seems lost. A reminder that Christ invites us when we are heavy laden to come to him, and we will find rest. And so it has been that symbol of hope leading out of this crazy wilderness. A number of years ago, a youth group came through town from Minneapolis on their way to the East Coast for a work camp. They stayed at Grace overnight. I had been in their church. The entire building of Grace could fit in their sanctuary with room left over. Many of these kids had not been out of Minneapolis. They were actually frightened by the small town. It was strange. They were curious. Was there anything to do here? I said, well, what would you like? And they said, well, Are there any movies? I said, well, we have a movie theater downtown. What's playing? I said, I don't know, but I can find out. And I made a few phone calls. Lo and behold, it was playing a movie that had yet to come to Minneapolis. They were really blown away by that. I said, well, how do we get there? I said, well, you walk. Is it safe? I said, oh, yes. It's just a block or two. And then one little girl got all panicky and she said, well, what if we get lost? I pointed to the courthouse. I said, see this building? There's probably nowhere in town that you can go where you cannot see this building. Just keep walking toward it and you will find your way back here. Christ holds before us the cross, that in this wilderness journey we find ourselves in, we may follow, and we may find our way back home. For this is God's promise. In the cross of Christ I glory, towering o'er the wrecks of time. All the light of sacred story gathers round its head sublime. When the woes of life o'ertake me, hopes deceive and fears annoy, never shall the cross forsake me. Lo, it glows with peace and joy. Pain and blessing, pain and pleasure, by the cross are sanctified. Peace is there that knows no measure, joys that through all time abide.